What's up guys, I'm here today with a video on how to farm crystallized iron on your island AFK. Guys, this will work on mobile too. Now I know these videos about AFK crystallized iron, there've been some coming out for a while now, but I've come up with an absolutely new idea that I have not seen anyone else do, and this allows you to farm a whole bunch of crystallized iron right on your own island. You got to check this out with me. This is a pretty cool design. Let's go. All right guys, I'm gonna show you how to AFK iron on your island. You can see the setup over there. But before I show you all that, I wanna show you how this all started for me. So I was noticing that an iron totem would spawn all of its nodes around it like that. And yes, you could just sit here and auto click that thing. That would work. But it was kind of unreliable. Like it would spawn all around and stuff like that. And I wanted to get more to spawn. So this just wasn't fast enough for me. Then I did notice that if I placed a block right next to an iron totem that was elevated up a block, that would only spawn the iron right on top of this block. And so now I figured, wow, I can actually control where the iron is gonna spawn. See, there, boom, it just spawned. It'll only spawn on that spot. So I could sit here and I could just click this thing, right? Now to actually do this, you can't use an auto clicker. You have to actually use a macro. Mine is set to hold down the mouse button for 3 seconds, release for 100 milliseconds, and then hold it down for 3 seconds. So you're gonna need an auto clicker that does that. My keyboard actually has a macro button that I can program that. It's a Corsair keyboard, but there's a lot of different ways you can make a macro that will do that for you. So now I know that these will spawn exactly where I want them. I could put a line of totems like this, and now I can actually stand here at the end of it and run my macro and literally mine out a whole row of these things. Now, yeah, I've seen other videos that have come out and shown all kinds of different ways you can sort of arrange your totems out and get this sort of similar results, but this is really clean, right? Because I'm just using these blocks elevated up, and they all actually respawn fairly quickly. So you could just go with this, but I wanted to take it to another level. You know how it is. So I was messing around with my berry farm, right? So I've been doing this auto clicking berry farm thing where you can just ride on the belt and sort of harvest all your berries because the belts will move you around. And I'm thinking to myself, hey, why don't we incorporate this into the iron, right? So let's figure out a way to actually be able to mine iron using the same method as these berry farms. So I thought to myself, okay, maybe we can just put a belt right in front of this thing and we'll just sort of cruise along sideways here, mining these out. But you gotta watch out because your pick, once it goes through the rock, will actually hit the iron totem and knock the iron totem out and break your setup. So you gotta be just far enough away from the iron totem to hit the rock, but not hit the totem behind it. So you can see right there, hit the rock, but I won't actually mine the totem out, right? So this is where I wanna put my belts. So I'm gonna go ahead and place some belts out right here, like so. And then I might want to, sort of have like a round trip, right? So let's go ahead and like make this a round trip sort of. All right, there we go. I got just like a little loop set up that will just kind of loop me around. And now I'm gonna turn on my macro here and you'll see that it kind of does it, but it kind of just doesn't have enough time because you're moving by the rock sort of too fast to really effectively mine them all the way down. I mean, it kind of works, but it misses a lot of them. Okay, so then I started thinking, well, I need longer to actually hit the rock. So I came up with this one right here. This one, so I tested this one for a while, and this gives me like a longer span to hit the rock, and it kind of works, right? So we go forward and backward, we're hitting our macro, and but the problem with this design is it kind of misses them once in a while. So I've been playing around with different configurations, and I do think I've come up with maybe the best configuration, but you might want to try all of these. Your mileage may vary depending on your pick that you've got or your setup, but this is working pretty good. And it won't be able to take out the iron totems because then you can never actually get close enough to hit the iron totem behind it. But ultimately this setup is actually pretty slow because it takes you so far to go down the line. All right, so now I actually tried this setup over here. Now this will work too, by the way, because these are on different levels. The iron totems, or any totem for that matter, will only spawn nodes on the same level. So you can always count on that. So these totems will only spawn on here because it's the only blocks within reach that are actually on the same level or altitude. And then this one will only spawn on this ledge right here because this is the only one within reach. Now I put as many totems as possible just to make sure that the respawn rate is as quick as can be. So on this one, I just have a loop running along just one side of the line of iron nodes, and I want to check out and see if I can align my camera just right and then turn on my auto clicking macro right here. Now you're gonna see it's gonna start hitting the rocks, but you'll notice that the camera bounces out, but it doesn't actually rotate your avatar. And as soon as the rock is hit, the camera will bounce right back in. Okay, so it takes like 1 or 2 rounds before it knocks off the front ends of these big boulders, and then it's gonna start making passes and taking off. See, now watch, the cursor's gonna move over, right? And then, so it's that offset of the path going this way, then this way, which makes sure that while you're AFK, your cursor is actually moving back and forth on these boulders and you get a complete clear, right? So I've actually just cleared this entire thing all the way. Every single one of them is off. By the time I get back around to the front of this, we're gonna get probably a pretty good respawn on these. Now, this is just sort of a test setup. If we wanted to make sure that we had enough boulders always respawning, we could then see, there they go. They just respawned all the way up, right? So maybe I would make this one just about 5 or 10 blocks longer, but essentially this setup works really well. All right, see, it just ran through and it pretty much just cleared the entire line. It left one up, and look, we've already got a respawn happening up at the beginning of the node list right here. So, you know, it's just gonna keep running, and you can run this all night. So I ran it all night, and I got, I have 21 crystallized iron right now. I think I got like about 16 of those overnight. So I know crystallized iron is not the hottest commodity, but it's still really important for a few items, and it's still really hard to get. There's really no other way except hitting rocks. All right, so to take the berry design with the looping belt and do it with the iron, I tried this setup right here. So on this one, we're gonna do the same thing. We're just gonna go down the row with our clicker on, and it's going for 3 seconds, turning off, and then 3 seconds again. As you can see, it can clear the whole row pretty good, just like before. Camera bounces out, but the camera goes back in. But a distinct disadvantage of this one to the previous design was the dead time you have as you're out on the front of the loop, or the back of the loop as it is right here. And then we're gonna come back down the row, and you'll see the camera's bouncing out, but because the two things are identical on either side, it's gonna hit those things as soon as the camera bounces back in. And then the real disadvantage of this is so that the loop has to be extra long on this side so that you don't actually break your iron totems as you pass around. So you have all this like downtime where you're not breaking anything on this design. But other than that, it works pretty good. And if you wanted to like make a big elaborate system and you felt like those loops weren't that big of a deal, like it was running down a big long row, that will work out just fine. But because if you're using a single belt, I do believe you have to have these too high just so that the nodes don't plant up on the belt. But I think, in my opinion is that this is the best design. It's low, it's compact, it's cheap to build, and you know, it doesn't take up a ton of space on your farm. These things respawn so fast, it just works really well. So let's go ahead and build one of these together so you can see exactly how it goes together. All right, so first let's go ahead and place a row of blocks for our iron totems. Let's go with 20 blocks long. The one I just showed you was 18, and this one we're gonna do 20 just because I noticed that we could probably get a little bit more time on there just for the respawn. So what do we got here? All right, there's 20 blocks, and let's go ahead and put out 20 iron totems. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, perfect. Now, as you saw before, I'm gonna place a block just with one space off, just like that, right? So I'm gonna do this setup all the way down, and that's gonna be where the iron nodes spawn. All All right, great. So the iron nodes will start spawning right away, but you'll see they'll start disappearing too as the iron totems themselves start to fill up. So you're gonna want these to fill up completely before you really test out your setup. All right, so the belt layout we're gonna use, again, is just one space away from that block, okay? And we're gonna go all the way to the end, right? So you're gonna start your belt right where your first soil block is, and run it out. So that means 20 belts one direction and then 20 belts the other direction. Let's build that real quick. All right, we got those built. Now let's just put the turnarounds on. Piece of cake, just like that. Put them down on the other side, and bada bing, and bada boom. There it is. That's the full circuit. Now you'll be able to just jump on this thing and just do the rotation around. It's pretty nice. And this one's just a little bit longer. My iron totems have just about completely filled up. So let's go ahead and just get this going right away and see what happens here. So that's what I do. I just zoom the camera all the way out. And sometimes I let it run through a couple of times and just sort of fine tune my mouse location to make sure I'm not hitting the soil blocks as I'm doing my loops. But other than that, you want to see yourself, you know, come around this loop again right here, and boom. Now there we go. That should be working out just perfect. So like, just because the belt goes down one way and then shifts you over a block and comes back the other way, actually make sure that you're hitting every single block down this row. So that's it. In just 2 passes, I've cleared out the entire row. I've already got respawning happening. I'm gonna start hitting those again and again. And you could just let this run all night long. Remember, your auto clicker has to go on, at least in my case, in my testing, I like it to go on for 3 seconds at a time and then turn off really quickly and then 3 seconds again. As you can see, I'm bumping into my berry farm a little bit and it's throwing it off, but I don't think it's breaking this. So you wanna build this kind of far away from your buildings so that your camera doesn't get bounced around by the buildings. But just remember, even if your camera gets adjusted, as long as you don't, it won't rotate your body. So as soon as it clears whatever obstacle that you're looking at, it goes right back to where it was. Well, I'm actually gonna let this run for a while. I'm gonna let it run again overnight. Crystallized iron is still very rare, so it's not that easy to get, but that's the design, guys, and it's actually really simple. It doesn't take much money or time to set it up, and I don't think it needs to be any bigger than 20 blocks long plus the belt. And you know, the berry farm is a lot more work. Now the berry farm is gonna get you a lot of berries, which you can make berry pie, and you make a lot of money. But if you're after crystallized iron for whatever reason, I just thought I'd throw this design out there, just throw it out to the world and see if you guys like it. Let me know in the comments and hit a like if you would. I'd really appreciate it. Don't forget to sub, turn on the notifications, come to our live streams. We're doing Skyblock giveaways and builds. Right now we're actually building a Skyblock mini golf course to play on streams. It's going to be a lot of fun, guys, and I hope to see you there. Link for the Discord is in the description. We're in there all the time. This is where we do our builds. We got a trading channel, all the good stuff, guys. See you in the next video. Peace.